Good does Shedeur look? Did he look good enough to get another start this Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers? Well, Daryl Ruiter joins us right now, brought to you by Shedeur Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Daryl, should Shedeur start next Sunday? Will he start next Sunday?
Absolutely, he should start next Sunday, and I believe he will start next Sunday. I just don't think that Kevin Stefanski wanted to make that announcement right after the game.
Why is that?
Well, that's just how Kevin works. I mean, he's always been that way. So I think that either today or on Wednesday, Stefanski will announce that Shedeur will start against the 49ers. I mean, after watching that on Sunday, I don't know how you wouldn't want to start Shedeur Sanders against the 49ers.
Well, what'd you think overall of the performance, Daryl? I know I was sharing some stats with Ken. Some of the analytics were really down on the performance. They had the worst success rate of any offense in the NFL yesterday, which is crazy considering we watched the game and watched the Raiders. So,
right.
What did you think? What did your eyes tell you?
Well, my eyes told me that he did a good job dealing with pressure, which is one of the things that I was concerned about going into that game. You didn't see him retreating from the line of scrimmage. You saw him step up in the pocket. He was only sacked once. The 53-yard bomb to Isaiah Bond was something that Dylan Gabriel doesn't make that throw. Sorry. He doesn't.
You don't need to apologize. You're telling the truth.
And just the reaction on the sideline, the energy too. Now, you're right, Anthony. Statistically, it was nothing all that impressive. They were 3 of 12 on third down. Just over 205 yards, 206 yards net passing yards. But guess what? That's the most net passing yards the Browns have had since week 2 in a game. 11 of 20, the touchdown, a pick, 209 yards passing. Again, the numbers don't blow you away, but if you actually watched what was going on the field, I think there's enough there where you sit there and say, there is something there, and I need to see a little more. Again, it wasn't spectacular, but it was effective, and they won the game. And the 24 points scored, also the second most points scored by this team in a game this season.
Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Shedeur Jewelers. How did you think that the offensive game plan was handled with Shedeur?
I thought it was okay. There were a couple times.
You thought it was just okay? I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, well, I thought there were a couple times where Kevin got conservative with it, and understandably so. I think that Tommy Rees and Kevin Stefanski did a good job of putting Shedeur Sanders in a position to succeed. I keep going back to that 66-yard touchdown off the screen on the screen pass to Dylan Sampson. That same play was called, I think it was against the Jets, and Dylan Gabriel threw it into the sideline. But I think the coaching staff did a really good job of giving Shedeur Sanders an opportunity to be successful with how they structured the game plan, the plays that were called. And again, I think Shedeur did a really good job. When the Raiders brought the heat, he didn't retreat. And, some of those bad habits that I was really concerned about did not pop up Sunday in Las Vegas. And I think that is a tremendous positive for him.
Daryl Ruiter with us on the hotline. So we're in agreement that we'd like to see more Shedeur, and we'd like to see that start this week. Do we have to now maybe go back and look at some of the comments that have been made in recent weeks about their handling of this situation? Because it seemed like he was ready to play. Yeah, he made a rookie mistake with the interception, but I saw Trevor Lawrence turn the ball over 4 times yesterday in a win. So I don't think that's the end of the world. But overall, how did they handle this situation the last few weeks?
I think that they handled it a lot better than they get credit for. And Shedeur handled it really well. I had a couple guys tell me last week they really liked what they were seeing from him behind the scenes as far as his preparation going into that game. I think it's easy to criticize from the outside looking in when we really don't know what's going on, and also too when we're having to watch Dylan Gabriel and he can't move the offense. There were, I think I say this tongue in cheek, and I'm sure if we broke down the actual numbers, it's not the case, but it just felt like there were more explosive plays in that game yesterday than all of Dylan Gabriel's starts combined. It felt different with Shedeur out there on the field, and hindsight being 2020, I kind of feel like maybe the Browns handled this the right way. They certainly handled yesterday the right way, and so let's give this situation some opportunity to breathe and see ultimately how this thing plays out. But again, I saw enough to where I want to see more, and let's give this kid an opportunity now, like you gave Dylan Gabriel. Let's see if he can build week to week and get better week to week.
Dangerous Daryl, brought to you by Shedeur Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Okay, what did you think of the fumble by Jerry Jeudy?
I kind of feel like we're getting Denver Bronco Jerry Jeudy right now. Just not in a great mood, not focused. I don't know what's going on with him. You'd think that he would have been excited that Shedeur is out there because Shedeur actually throws the ball down the field, and these receivers because there were a couple of times where it appeared to me like receivers were cutting some routes off, and I think that's a habit that was formed because of Dylan Gabriel. Well, they're going to have to finish those routes now with Shedeur because he is not afraid to throw the ball down the field. But that was just a complete lack of focus on Jerry's part, and it looked like he stopped running too. Now, it might have been because he was getting ready to make a cut or something, and I don't know, but that's just what it looked like to me. But he's got to be better. And if you're going to have an attitude like he has, at least go out and do your job. Jerry Jeudy's not done his job this year, and that's where my criticism of him comes in. He was fantastic last year, and I don't know where that guy went, and maybe part of it's because when he was in Denver, it was a quarterback circus. It's been a quarterback circus here in Cleveland. He's had, I think 5 different starters since last 5-6 different starters since last year. So I understand where he might be frustrated by that, but you need to control what you can control and just go out and do your job. And unfortunately, this year again, I just don't feel like Jerry Jeudy has done his job, and he didn't yesterday. He cost him an opportunity to put more points on the board. Well, it was another explosive play. I think it was 33 yards before he got the ball punched out from behind. But yeah, just a lack of focus and a lack of attention to detail from someone who is supposed to be one of your best players on offense.
Well, I was critical of what happened on Wednesday when he spoke to the media, and it was just, a minute and 40 seconds or whatever it was, Thursday or Wednesday, I forget which day. It didn't come off great, in which some people were like, well, you don't know what's going on in his life. I go, then you don't need to speak on the podium if something bad happened. I hope nothing bad happened to him, but I don't need to hear him on Wednesday if he wasn't up to talking. In that game, though, I felt a little bit of sympathy in a way, just because I'm like, he didn't do it on purpose, and I thought he had the ball, and I think he was thinking he's got to make a play any way he possibly can, and he forgot somebody was behind him or didn't see somebody behind him, and he tried to make a move and shake somebody, and ended up getting the ball punched out, and it was embarrassing. I like that he and Shedeur Sanders were basically immediately sitting with each other.
Yeah.
And they were going over some of the clips. I was more encouraged about that. I think you're right. My thought of it is that because of his contract in so many ways, I think we're kind of stuck with him. So I gotta make the most out of this because he's your number one, especially because we're not out of the woods yet with our quarterback situation. So we got to get it figured out because I don't know when the next time you're going to get the chance to really draft a top flight wide receiver unless you luck into one in the mid rounds.
No, you might end up being able to do it next April. You just don't know how this is going to play out.
You hope, but as of right now, I'm encouraged by it, but I'm like, I'm still drafting a quarterback until he proves different here over the next month and a half. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing with Jerry yesterday. He already made the big play. The big play was made. He caught the ball. It was going to be a nearly 40-yard gain. That was the big play. And again, he tried to do a little too much there and lost focus. And look, I'm not going to. There were some people that were texting me, and I saw some of the posts on social media were like, Jerry Jeudy just stopped playing on that play. And I don't know that is fair to say something like that. It looked to me like he stopped because he was trying to figure out where he wanted to go if he was going to make a cut.
Calling out Nick Padone texting you. That's something.
No, I'm not calling anyone out
Guys
specifically.
Getting married. Look what happened.
I'm not calling anyone out specifically. I'm just saying, though, and I don't think it's fair to say he just quit on the play, even though that I can understand why some people would think that, and especially considering the attitude lately. But yeah, when you haven't had a lot of opportunity to make plays, sometimes you get in that mindset, like you said, Ken, where it's like, hey, this is my golden opportunity to make an even bigger play, and I got to try and make the most of it. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of a mental lapse. Didn't protect the football. You get it punched out from behind, and again, an opportunity to put points on the scoreboard, goes out the window. Luckily, you were playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who are a terrible football team. And, it didn't bite you in the backside.
Daryl, last week I said something that angered some of the older Browns fans.
There's a surprise.
That Myles Garrett had the potential to have the best individual season of any Browns player in the history of the franchise. And that was scoffed at because Jim Brown right. Obviously won a championship. His stats and his record and his Hall of Fame career speak for itself. But he was also playing with like 5 or 6 Hall of Famers. I mean, yeah. Myles is doing this, and he's got some good players around him too. But this is another level of football than I have seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Break that NFL sack record of 22.5 in a season. He has a chance to just absolutely obliterate that record. He's at 18 now with 6 games to play. He's 4.5 away. And it's not just him, it's that defense. I can't remember the last time, Anthony, that I saw Browns defense absolutely tee off on a team the way they did yesterday. 10 sacks, and then hours later, Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, gets fired. When's the last time the Cleveland Browns started getting people fired in the National Football League? That was an all-time defensive performance by the Browns yesterday, led, of course, by Myles Garrett, but they were paying so much attention to Myles Garrett early in the game, they forgot about everybody else. And so, again, that was a lot of fun to watch. Dominant against Geno Smith in that Raider offensive line, which, by the way, also might be one of the worst offensive lines I've seen in a long time.
It was a victory Monday, so Coach said we'll see you on Wednesday. But last segment, we were talking about how we think Shedeur will probably be there today, right?
Yeah. I think so, too. And he should. You know what? And honestly, he should be. And that's, if he isn't, nothing against him. I'm not going to hold it against him. But the great ones are there every day.
You won't hold it against him till Sunday, and then we'll see what happens Sunday. If he plays well on
Sunday,
Sunday,
should have showed up on Victory Monday.
Exactly.
Yeah, you guys would do 4 hours on it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, he knows, because this is the thing, Daryl. Like, we did this. We did this with a guy who was a total idiot. And tried to make it so, no, they do. And he knows who his father is, and his father, I guarantee, is telling, that's what Troy did. That's what they all did. The great ones do it. That's what Steve Young did. The great ones go in there on Monday. The great ones are obsessed with it. They do it every day. Even the ones that aren't great are obsessed with it. I mean, so if you really want to be great, you're going to have to go in there, and I think he'll go in there. I'd be very surprised if I find out he wasn't in there tomorrow.
Yeah, two comments stuck out to me. The comment he made before the game on the CBS broadcast where he was asked about the message he had for Browns fans, and he said, essentially, I'm what they've been waiting for. And then after the game, when he had mentioned that, everyone's waiting for me to fail, and I'm not going to do that. That's not going to happen. Well, I love the attitude. Now this is your opportunity to show everybody that you are willing to go above and beyond to make sure that that is the case. And, to your point about the whole Victory Monday thing and being in the building, whatever, that is an opportunity to, put your efforts and direct your efforts, in a going above and beyond situation, because as you guys talked about, the great ones do that. They're obsessed with it. They're in the building every day. I'm not saying they're gym rats, but they're always studying film and whatnot. And there are plays yesterday that were negative that, as a rookie, he needs to learn from. Again, it wasn't a perfect performance yesterday, not by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? It was enough, and it got the job done, and it showed me that there is something there. There is some talent there, and let's see if this kid can realize that talent.
Daryl, thank you for the good times. You have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you next week.
Same to you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you next week.
The Dangerous One, Daryl Ruiter, brought to you by Shedeur Sanders.